what's the time there now? 9 o'clock in the morning?
Correct, yeah.
So it's not beer o'clock yet in New Zealand, right?
It can be.
Could be, right? Could be. It is 2 o'clock on a Friday. This is Friday, December the 19th that we're recording this. Kids are out of school. I have promised my team that starting next week, I've got no meetings on my calendar. I'm going to focus on things that I like to do. So your question of am I drinking a beer is an appropriate one because I should, but I'm not. I'm drinking a San Pellegrino Peach Chow, which don't hold that against me either.
Much healthier option.
But we can't see what's
Much
in
healthier. I'll have a. Yeah, you can't see what's in it. It's a fake can. Yeah, I just loaded it up for podcasts.
We'll try to believe you on that one.
Hunters for Hope boys, welcome back, boys. Jeepers creepers.
It's good to be back.
You put a dead silence there for a second in that, like, what did we say to that? I said Jeepers creepers because the last time we had you on here, you were this, like, fledgling idea of, hey, we think we should do some good for our community. We've got this abundant resource. We've got this abundant venison. And now you're just, like, taking, what's the phrase?
All by the horn.
Kicking down, kicking down doors, taking names, kicking down doors, whatever you want to do, right?
Pretty much.
You've got swag now. You're dressed the same way. You've like both coordinated. Like we should put Hunters for Hope shirts on for this thing,
especially for you, Robbie.
We've got some great supporters who are following us, and they're looking after us with our kit. That's bloody great.
Well, for those who, and I can't remember, I should have done my homework for the podcast that set this up for us to have this follow-on podcast. Let's assume nobody has heard about who you guys are. So, why don't you boys introduce yourselves and introduce your organization?
So, my name's Steve Hill. I'm a stock agent based in North Canterbury, New Zealand, which is what I do Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. In a spare time, Adam and myself run a charity here called Hunters for Hope, and what we do is we try to harness hunters' surplus venison, turn that into mince, or as you call ground venison, and donate that to help local food banks and community groups close to where we are.
And the whole reason for starting this, Adam?
Steve and I were hunting a lot on the weekends.
Whatever just pinged. I don't know if there is still like a program open on the computer or an email program or something like that. Just close the program, we'll be good to go. Last thing we need is you to be really popular on a Saturday and all your emails come in and we hear ping, 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 ping.
I don't know if it was of yours or not.
I think it was, but that should work. Sorry, apologies.
All good, all good. So, Adam, tell me, why did you guys decide, like, this is something we want to do?
Sorry, we lost you there, Robbie.
Okay, we'll start again. Adam, tell me why you wanted to do this. Like, what was the whole impetus? You guys this isn't your full-time job. This is just something you like, hey, I feel like we need to do this.
Steve and I were hunting nearly every weekend. We were being very successful. We were getting too much meat for what we could eat ourselves and what we could give just to our families. And so Steve has sort of come up with an idea and said, hey, let's see if we could start giving this away. So we went down the legal processes and found out that we could, as long as no money was changing hands and all the other rules and regulations. And so we started mincing it up here. This was three years ago now, 3 and a bit years ago. We started mincing up a little bit, and a little bit turned into a little bit more, and now we've got this we've got this beast
This-
that
The beast that you've created.
That we've created.
That's even like people are calling you from Tasmania saying, how do we start this in Tasmania?
Yeah, we've had a few calls from different states across Australia, and obviously with the recent situation over there at Bondi, there's looking to be law changes in the wind as well. So they've got a few challenges to try and overcome over in Australia to get to the point that we are being able to harness what is effectively a pest animal, really, a non-native species, and harness that into combating food poverty. There is a real need and a real wanting by the hunting community to be able to make it happen over there. So we've been talking with guys in Western Australia, Victoria, Tasmania and New South Wales, all trying to get ideas and understand how we've got through the legislation legally over here and what changes they need to make to legislation to make it happen over there. So it's been a pretty interesting last 6 or 12 months having those conversations.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Tara Medina. Tara Medina is the co-founder of Discovered Wild Foods. It's one of three, I believe, wild-sourced venison companies for human consumption. Joe Barrett and Wild Pie is a part of Discovered Wild Foods. And I asked her the same question. I said, why is there not a Hunters for the Hungry program in Australia? And the be-all and end-all of it comes down to the fact that it's a nanny state. And there's so many rules and regulations tied to the meat. I said, Tara, here in the United States, if I shoot a deer, I don't have the ethics tied to shooting the deer in the head like they have in Australia. Like you have to shoot it in the head. You have to have all these bits and pieces and processes in place. I said, but I can still shoot the deer in the shoulder, know it was an ethical kill, and choose to donate that meat, and it goes to the local butcher, which is down the road, which is then the second hurdle in Australia, that there's no regular butcheries that are, again, third hurdle, needed to be wild game certified processes. Can't be in the garage like you guys are doing. And they have to be inspected and do all the things. And I was like, well, that's never going to help. That's never going to allow us to get over these three major hurdles to get venison into a food bank. And she was like, well, would you want to relax the standards just because you're giving it away to the homeless? And I was like, no, that's not the point. But I think the standards that, because everyone's so worried about getting sick, that it's uber cumbersome, right?
Yeah.
To get venison into the human consumption food chain. Here in the States, it happens every day, all day long. And it's not like, do people get sick? I don't know. I've never heard of anybody getting sick. I've never heard of a homeless shelter or something going, this meat's done, kind of thing. So
we haven't had any issues for the amount of kilograms or pounds that we've donated. We've had no issues with anyone getting sick or any comebacks to us. So
the other thing too is I think we're similar in New Zealand compared to you guys in the US, is that one part of the legislation that allows us to donate to food banks and charities is that every step along the supply chain, whether it be the organisation or the end consumer, every step along the supply chain is aware that the meat is unregulated and theoretically they eat it at their own risk. So it's got to take, if we can get the team in Australia to look at it from that point of view so that the end consumer can take some of the liability away from the food service industry or the legislative body, at least then it should open up avenues that meat could get utilised. It just seems there's red tape for the red tape for the red tape in Australia.
Yep. No, totally. One of the things that somebody listening to this podcast here in America would maybe ask the question is, why shoot an animal if you've got enough meat already? Like, why do you have to go shoot another animal if you've got enough meat already? Give this scenario to the American public that may not understand what you guys are dealing with in New Zealand?
Our red deer numbers and fallow deer numbers are going through the roof, and our government managed land is quite full of deer, so they are a pest. There is simply too many of them, and quite a lot of the farms that we hunt on and our friends hunt on, the farmers say, if you're going to go in there and have a hunt, please shoot as many as you can. And now we've got a reason to take as many as we can with us and bring them back and give them all away. But the deer numbers here are very high.
I suppose the other thing too is we don't have a tag system over here. So there's no hunting season, so to speak. There's no limit on how many deer we could shoot. So when we have farmers, or as you call ranchers, that contact us and say, look, I've genuinely got a really bad deer problem, can you come and help us? We can, without breaking any rules or regulations, shoot as many deer as we can, help the farmer by stopping the feral deer or wild deer eating his crops that he's got in for farm stock. And also we can use that venison through Hunters for Hope, put it through our system and donate it. So we are starting to get more and more calls from farmers wanting us to come on and take as many deer as we can, knowing that the venison is being utilised. They're not just being shot and left. There are situations where that happens outside of our control, and sometimes that has a time and a place. But if we come on farm to have a bit of a tidy up, we'll take what we can, and we will take out, I'd say, 99% of the deer we shoot.
And it's an additional incentive, what you guys have built, right? Because a lot of farmers and hunters specifically will be like, man, I'll shoot another 4 or 5, but I'm not taking them out. I'm just going to leave them.
Yep. And for some farmers, they're happy with that just to get the numbers down. They would, in general, the farmers would prefer to have the deer utilised. But it's more important that they've got feed there for their stock through the winter that the wild deer aren't eating. So,
Adam?
We've had the same calls in regards to pigs as well, but we can't deal with both. What
do you mean you can't deal with both?
So there's a lot of pigs here as well, a lot.
What do you mean you can't deal with both?
We don't have the capacity at the moment. We've utilising the deer and making venison mince. Realistically, our processing and our storage and everything, we don't have the capacity to do it. We've got more work than we know what to do with, just doing venison.
You've created this beast. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's a lot simpler for us to just stick with venison. We could do pork, but it's a lot more labour intensive. So from a very basic standpoint, I could skin 4 deer in the time it takes me to skin 1 pig. And the amount of meat that I'd get off a pig compared to a deer, we can make a bigger difference by sticking to our knitting and doing what we started out doing. If we tried, we could look at doing wallabies and possums and rabbits and all sorts, but we don't have the capacity to do it. And we're better off to stick to what we know and doing it well.
So how long does it take? It's for somebody who, again, has no idea what's happening. Somebody shoots a red stag, red deer, fallow deer, they bring it to you. How long is it taking you guys are they bringing it to you whole, or you require them to have been gutted before? What's the situation here?
Yeah, definitely gutted, and we don't mind whether the skins are on or the skins are off. Some guys will bring it to us in a bucket and it might be already frozen. We would then use our helpers, our Dad's Army guys. We'll let them know there's 3 or 4 deer that have been dropped off on the weekend, and they will turn up the week after, and they'll skin them out and bone them out and simply put them in our tubs, and we'll freeze them, and on our next mince run we'll defrost them all and get it minced and given away.
You just mentioned something, your Dad's Army? What's that?
So we've got my dad and there's pretty much a group of his mates from the pub.
From the pub, yeah.
We've got about 15 of them.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got about 15 of them on board. They're all very retired in different stages of ailments and everything like that. But they're a real good bunch of buggers, and they'll come here and do the skinning, cleaning up. They're doing a lot of mincing now, and they'll do, from our safari parks, they'll do quite a few of our pickups around the South Island as well, which takes a lot of pressure off Steve and I when we're trying to still do our 9 to 5.
So it's actually pretty cool. We've got this group of 12 or 15 67-year-old men that have now, they've come on board to help us out. But I think too, a lot of, and I don't know if it's a bloke thing, if it's a man thing, or if it's just a population as you get older, that we've actually asked these guys to give us a hand, and what they do genuinely makes a difference. So with their help, we're able to retrieve more of this venison that's donated from the high fence hunting estates, and also process more meat and donate more mince. We couldn't do this volume and pick up this amount of meat if it was just Adam and myself. We just don't have enough hours in the day. We'd both end up single men with no jobs. And I genuinely believe that the guys that we now call Dad's Army to their face, and they love it, they actually get enjoyment and satisfaction out of knowing that what they are doing to help us is genuinely making a difference.
Adam?
We sort of feel as though it's a bit like a bit of a men's shed here. They'll turn up in the morning, they might sit down, they'll sit down and have a coffee first, and they'll do a few hours, and then they might stop for an hour for lunch. That doesn't bother us. The job still gets done. And as long as we keep their seats dry and the coffee machine full for them, they're more than happy. They're more than happy. And they're a real good bunch of guys. We definitely couldn't do it without them. So
let me ask this: have any of the Dad's armies gone with the mince delivery, or even seen where the mince goes, like who it ends up with?
Yes, they do. Yep, they'll come into the Hope Community Trust into Rangiora with us sometimes, and they'll have a chat with the people and see where it disappears, see where it goes to, and I think nearly all of them have come and had a go. They do enjoy it.
Well, we always invite them to come along, because I think it's really good for these guys and for all of our supporters to see the full circle. So Dad's Army have gone and picked up the venison, and they know where that venison meat comes from. They've helped us process deer that have been donated. They've actually done the mincing, and they've taken it to the drop-off where the community groups come and pick it up. So they've had a good chance to actually see my efforts and what I'm doing, and the time that I'm able to put in, I'm making a difference. So earlier this year, we actually asked the Dad's Army to come along. The Hope Community Trust do a meal once a week. That's a gold coin donation to the community, and everybody's invited. And we organise for the Hunters for Hope Dad's Army crew to cook the meal and help serve the meal. And some of the community that come into those meals are obviously disadvantaged, and some of them are not doing too well financially. But there's also the older segment of the community that obviously are lonely, and this is their social outing. It's something they can afford to do. So I genuinely think that taking Dad's Army along to the community Kai meal that the Hope Trust do on a weekly basis was a real eye-opener for them to meet the people that are the end users of or end consumers of this venison.
I bet you that little did you know that when you got into this Hunters for Hope program, that was merely, serving food to people that have need. Mm-hmm. And maybe you've had this conversation with the guys from the Dad's Army, or maybe you guys have witnessed it yourselves. But you're actually doing much more than just feeding people.
Yeah,
your dad's army that's sitting there feeding the community. There's a greater responsibility there, right? There's a greater understanding. There's a sense of community that's born from it. Yes, you are the corridor, the conduit through delivery of meat. But there's so much more of a ripple effect through the community that comes from that.
Well, I suppose one thing that sort of comes into bear is I'm talking to the ladies at the Hope Community Trust, and obviously we deliver the venison mince to them, and they use their network of other food banks and food assistance pantries to distribute it on our behalf. And a simple thing that I was told by the ladies there is that because of the volume of venison mince that's coming through Hunters for Hope, that they're able to share it with other community groups and other food banks locally, which unbeknown to us, and we never thought it would, never even considered it, what it's created is a reciprocal arrangement with those community groups. So if they get a surplus of something else that they can't fully utilise, that they ring the Hope Community Trust and other community groups, so community groups are sharing with community groups to make sure that more people are fed. So a simple thing like that is really cool. And we just thought we're just going to do this because we've got a surplus and let's make it happen. But when we hear things like that our efforts to have open doors in other areas that's pretty cool.
I think they've got about 35 different groups that get a share of our venison every month. So they'll put a bit of an order in, and it'll disappear to 35 different groups, nearly all over the South Island.
Yeah, well, primarily Canterbury, but we've sent venison mince up to Kaikoura, which is sort of still Canterbury but not quite. And this year we sent some venison mince up to an area up in Nelson, an area called Mapua, that suffered quite catastrophic damage from floods. And they wanted to do some community meals up there to support their people in recovering from that. So from memory, I think we sent about 300 kilos up there, and that made quite a big difference to them. We're now starting to get feedback from the community groups and from the people that they're sharing it with and the end consumers on their end. We got given a letter just recently from one of those community groups, and there was half a dozen quotes from end consumers that had got it and just saying their appreciation. So we don't get to see a lot of that. So when it does come in, it's actually really cool and it's a good positive feedback for us.
No, it's incredible. It's incredible. All right, so talk to me. This is end of year 2 or end of year 3? 3. How many kilos of meat did you mince in year 1?
2,100.
2,100. How many kilos of meat did you mince in year 2?
6,938.
He's ready, Adam. So he's got his numbers in his brain. Okay. Now, before we talk about year 3, what was your goal?
Our goal
that you wanted to achieve in year 3?
Our goal was 12,000 kilos.
12 and a half. Yeah,
12 and a half.
Well, 12,500 kilos. The reason we come up
is 100,000 meals, right?
He's got it. You remembered, yeah.
Oh, some of us keep our brains in check. Adam, we're just 12,000. No, Adam's 12,500.
Yeah, that's all right. When we set that target, it was actually when we recorded an earlier podcast with yourself. We'd spoken between ourselves and, okay, our target for year 2 was 5,000 kilos, and we did not quite 7,000. So we'd sort of agreed amongst ourselves that, okay, year 3 we'll set a target for 10,000 kilos. That's probably achievable. And when we recorded the previous podcast with yourself, I was sitting down and I was doing some numbers in my head while we're talking. Adam didn't know I was going to say 12,500 kilos. He thought it was going to be 10. So I opened my mouth and then we sort of had to deliver on it. So I won't say what we've done yet. Obviously, you're going somewhere with this. So.
Well, that's you had a goal, 12,500 kilos, year 3. You've been doubling the entire time. We are sitting December 19th, season's over. You've, had a big year in year 3. Like, what did you end up with?
You know the exact kilos off the top of your head.
The exact weight is 14,084 kilos.
14,084 kilos, which equals how many meals?
113,000 or thereabouts, plus change. Sorry, Robbie, I don't have that number.
How do you not have the exact number of meals? Come on, you have every other number. Come
I can
on,
get it for you.
give it to me.
112,672.
112,632.
72, yes.
112,672 meals.
Correct.
That's what we will title this podcast.
Rightio.
112,672 meals.
Correct. So the other way of looking at that as well is from a conservation standpoint, and knowing that wild deer are quite a problem in New Zealand in general, as they are in Australia and I presume certain states of the US. If you look at the amount of venison that we donated and the amount of venison that we'd normally harvest off the average deer, with that volume, we've probably reduced the wild deer herd by an equivalent of about 650 to 700 deer for the year.
Okay. Wow. And you've taken a lot of this venison from what do you guys call them? You said safaris, right?
Yeah.
Safari areas.
Yep.
So commercial hunting areas.
Correct. High fence operations, mostly, yeah.
And do you have still commercial operations that you haven't touched yet?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We've got to catch up with a few commercial operators before the season starts next year. They want to get on board and start donating to us as well. So Steve and I are just trying to work out logistically how we can do those, how we can do more pickups next season with the volunteers we've got and the funding we are still hoping to acquire.
Yeah.
But we can go and catch up with these guys and they can get on board with us, and it'll give us a total of about 13 safari parks, I think, for next season.
And how many do you have right now?
9.
Okay. Now let's think about year 4 and be a little realistic now, because from 6.5 to 14 and some change is crazy. 14,084 kilos to be exact, if we were all keeping track of numbers in our brains.
Yes. Well, from our first year to second, we basically tripled. Basically, a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Second year to third, we basically doubled and a little bit more.
Careful.
No. He's going to
Careful.
table, yeah. We're getting to the point now that we are limited in production just purely by facilities and processing, and a little bit by time as well. So we haven't really set a target for 2026. I think that we're somewhere in the high teens with our current facilities, unless we do a few improvements and increase capacity in processing area. I can't see that we could viably get above 20.
But yeah, I know, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And here's the other thing. I don't know. Obviously, the conversation needs to happen on the other side, right? You may get to a point with Hope Trust, and they're like, whoa, like we can't handle anymore, like, or we can't consume it fast enough as you're delivering it.
We've sort of combated that a wee bit. This year we started donating into the Christchurch City Mission. So they do, obviously they've got their homeless shelters and whatnot, and they've been using that to prepare some of the meals there. I would suggest that there's probably the capacity that they could increase their requirement.
So you still have capacity downstream. There's still multiple. There is still
There's still hungry people in Canterbury.
okay. And so, if you were to get into the high teens, like what do you need?
We really need to increase the footprint of our processing area. It's
Okay.
basically when we started out, we just sort of moved in on the hunting chiller at Adam's property, made no real changes to it, and we put a couple of extra meat rails in the chiller and just used it as it was. And it was probably quite large for a normal household hunting chiller, but we're getting to the point now that we don't really like the idea of having to go to a commercial premises. I think the idea of that and then going down that avenue, it really takes away from the story of what Hunters for Hope are really about.
Yeah, and the dad's army showing up and drinking coffee and doing all the things that you just talked about.
Yeah. So that we probably need to near double our chiller processing room.
Our processing room size and our freezer space.
Yeah.
Because we still need to have plenty of freezer space in order to freeze and then defrost when we need to.
Yeah. I think going forward this year with some of our drop-offs, we'll probably try and utilise some of the venison that we pick up if it is still not yet frozen. So that would reduce the amount of freezer space we'd potentially need. But there comes a time that the hunting operations really
Yeah, because how long could you, if you had your chiller room doubled, I'm assuming you would hang animals and not have to freeze them?
Well, we'd still need to process those deers and take the skins off and bone them out. And it doesn't always work out that when deer are donated, it's within a few days of needing to do the mincing. Because obviously food safety, we want to do the right thing. So
our mincing only really happens once a month as well. We do our mincing and our drop off the following day once a month.
So with that, it's easier for us to keep product moving and rotate product so that nothing's in the freezer for too long. And we take it out of the freezer, put it in the chiller, and 2 or 3 days later, that is, I suppose, tempered down or thawed to the degree that we can separate it, go through it, make sure there's nothing in there that we don't want to run through the mincer, and then we do the run of mince and donate it the following day.
So what do you think the expansion of the chiller processing area would cost?
Without getting quotes, I would suggest about $20,000 New Zealand. And that would be concrete chiller panel. It may involve getting a larger chiller unit on that area because the one that we've got may not be big enough. That would involve, we may not be able to increase the freezer capacity as well under that budget, but we'd go close.
We've been gifted 3 or 4 loads of concrete, which is going to be great for us because we're sort of dealing with a shingle area at the moment, gravel. So we've been given 3 or 4 truckloads of concrete, which has been great. So January or February, me and my guys will get this dug out and we'll have a nice cleaner area we can deal with, which will make things a lot easier for Dad's Army to clean up.
So you would, if you had what you needed, you would pour the concrete, expand the chiller, be ready for season starting April, May, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so go do it.
What are you telling us? Are you telling us we've got the budget?
So Venator came to me 2 months ago and they said, hey, you got this Hunters for Hope program, right? And then we've also got the Quail Cubby Coffee Company money. And they said, how much are you looking for? I said, well, I'm looking for about 10,000 US. And they're like, done.
Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome.
So Venator down in Wanaka said, look, man, these guys are doing great stuff in New Zealand. And so 10,000 US translate to 17,000 New Zealand, so it gets bloody close. Plus, I don't know how much Quail Covey coffee is going to. I think Quail Covey will tell them, hey, we need to get to 20. And so you guys better get to work.
Well, we need to hit that target of
are we going to hit 20?
20. We have to. That's amazing news. Thank you very much, Venator.
It's really encouraging for us when companies how do you say it? That are as well known as Venator and as progressive as Venator are, to recognise Hunters for Hope. We started out as two guys with a 40-year-old Mensa and a good idea, and we've grown to this. So for a company at the level of Venator to recognise our efforts and to actually put their money where their mouth is, we're extremely grateful. So thank you.
Yep, they love what you do. We love what you do. As I said, the last time we did this podcast, somebody randomly from South Carolina reached out and says, I want to build a coffee to help these guys halfway around the world. Okay?
Yeah.
It's the kind of impact that happens. It shows the heart of our community. It shows everything tied to who we are and what we do and what you guys are doing. And I will add one more thing to it, is that we will figure out in a time frame. I don't know if I will come. I hope I can. But we want to film your story. We want to tell your story. I want to follow a dad's army to go pick up. I want to follow a dad's army to process deer. I want to follow the dad's army to serving at that community lunch that you do every week. And we want to show the world like this thing that's happening there and this thing that's organically growing and serving. So we will tell your story in 26 as well and let the world know.
That would be pretty cool.
We would love to have you here, Robbie.
I will definitely try. Like, my schedule is absolutely bonkers. But if I can get there, I will try and get there.
If you're going to spend a couple of days with Dad's Army, you might need to bring some earplugs, but that's all right.
Okay. Or I'll start drinking beer at 9 in the morning.
Well, you don't have to, but it helps.
Well, Steve, Adam, again, you're doing an amazing job. I'm glad I could deliver. I love delivering great news. It's one of the best parts of my job. And again, big shout out, thanks to Venator and them just saying, you deserve it, man. You guys are doing great stuff.
Thank you. Yeah.
You have needs. People need to support you, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Robbie, and thank you very much, Venator. It's amazing.
Ditto.
All right, boys. Well, we'll catch up. You keep doing a great job, and we'll stay in touch, all right?
Thank you. Thanks, Robbie.